Mr. Massimo Farnesi, Project Manager from Ultrafog. Welcome, sir. So, I would like to ask Mr. Arun Kumar Das to start the session, and we have 30 minutes time, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So very good afternoon to all of you, and the hall is empty as it is after lunch session. It's very difficult to conduct any session after lunch. Post-lunch session is basically to have something else, not in the technical sessions. Anyway, we will try to do the justice as the time is short. We will limit to maximum 30 minutes. As the topic says, the protection of data centers and critical infrastructure. The critical infrastructures could be oil and gas, could be any other industries. So how the protection will be given to the critical infrastructures as of today, or considering the technological changes which is going to come in next 5 years or 10 years down the line. So I have the privilege of extremely fantastic panelists. So the first questions to Mr. Rao. As we are going for the protection of data centers and critical infrastructures, how do you feel the pharmaceutical companies, pharmaceutical area of business, the data centers protected, considering the cyber security and considering the fire protection and physical security? What is your view on that?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible? Yeah. How many of you from pharma company? May I know that? It is how many of you worked in pharma company at least? No? Then I think my job is easy. Okay. And as you all aware, this pharma is very dynamic business, and that it is a batch process. And you cannot compare with any other sector, like a continuous process, even like maybe this petrochemical, maybe BPCL also, it's a continuous process industry. The hazards are maybe similar to the pharma company, but it is a continuous process industry. Once if you take the necessary safety precautions, it is easy to maintain the systems. But in pharma, and it is such a dynamic nature, and every day you can expect one surprise, particularly with respect to safety and security. And when I come to this data security and all, and actually there is very large scope for security threats in pharma company because of its nature of the business. Because that, I hope you all aware that IP plays a critical role in pharma business success. And if you want to invent something, or if you want to, if you don't protect that, and your efforts will be completely going to gutter. So there you have to have a high secured systems, and your data should be highly secured, and you have to have a robust security management systems in site, and particularly at particularly where you are maintaining the data, what you call servers. And second thing, when you come to operations area also, in operations and all also there is a huge breach for data security, and we are depending on now we are moving from manual to digital, and these all batch manufacturing because everything is getting converted into digital. Now we are moving through DCS systems and all. And it is highly vulnerable for risk. And if you see, there is a data risk even from the cameras, many areas. And one of the, I don't want to name that company, in Hyderabad only, they face a lot of problems because of that cameras. Whatever the cameras they have installed in their site, that hackers hacked their servers through that cameras. These kind of threats are there. And we have to focus on that too. And I think a lot of innovations to be done in that area, in particularly in pharma companies. And with respect to safety and also, right from the transportation, like from SEM level, till that dispatching of the finished product, there are many threats in pharma companies because of we are handling highly hazardous chemicals day in, day out. And almost in all pharma companies, more than 100 or 200 chemicals will be stored at warehouse, right from the gate that says safety starts. And the servers and all where we are keeping that, no, we are protecting with some Novak type of extinguishers, but I don't think it is fully, it is catering the needs. and remaining all other safety systems like aerosol-based systems and all, gas-based suppression systems and all there. And one more big challenge in pharma company, you cannot use water-based extinguishing systems wherever you want, because most of the chemicals are water sensitive. And if it is getting exposed to the water and all, you can expect some massive accidents. And so you have to be little specific while designing the safety and security systems for pharma companies. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. My next question is to Mr. Nag. We talk a lot about security or fire protection systems at this design stage, procurement stage, on the conceptualization stage. So what is your view when you go for a fire protection system on a at the beginning, at the inception stage? What is your view for the fire protection system or data security system in that area?
Good afternoon, the distinguished guest and the panel members.
Close to the mic.
Hello, am I audible? Okay. Since I have been asked to, deliberate the detailing with respect to the initiation of the safety protocols or the security protocols from the project initiation stage itself, so obviously that's one of my favorite topic, because I'm very much closely associated with any kind of project that goes into my company. Especially, I am from Berger Paints, so which is similar to the pharma company the earlier speaker just spoke about. We are a recipe and formulation-based company. So I've just got a note on it. In fact, I'll be referring to my mobile some of the time, in fact, for that one. So like, I have divided this entire protection system, data protection system, the sensitive thing, which are very much important on certain segments. Like when initiating a project for an unit like ours, which is a chemical and formulation based, so careful planning is very much essential for securing the sensitive data protections. And obviously hazard protection is another thing, in fact, which also to be taken care of. That includes the fire safety as a primary thing, which some of the time gets missed out, and at later point of time in the project, which comes into the picture, and then it creates a fiasco, like, okay, how to manage it and what to do it. And ultimately, we end up doing somehow. So that somehow is no way acceptable, in fact. I think for a chemical plant like ours, or the nature of, industry that we belong from, which is a red category, high hazard industry. So involving the strategic measures from the project initiation stage itself to safeguard the intellectual property, to comply with the regulatory requirements, and obviously to take care of the workplace safety is of immense importance. So now coming to the point-wise discussions, like if I talk about the project level planning, a structural approach to the project level planning to execute it in a nice way is very much necessary. Nice way meaning in engineering way. So that's the core essence of it. So let's, again bifurcate the same thing into three parts, like define the objective and the scope. What exactly we're looking at, identifying the key project goal. What kind of protection, what kind of sensitivity I do have with respect to my formulation, my company, my processes, whether it is pertaining to the R&D, process, procedures, storage, or whatsoever, or document related. Fine, that's one. And what are the compliance required, which is a regulatory need for the country. Then establishing a framework for the data security and hazard management. Then defining out of all those things, the critical assets, which includes the proprietary formulations, which are very specific to you. You run your soap based on your proprietary formulations, or the formulations which are very much unique to you. Research related data, because that gives you the mileage to go ahead and get an edge over your competitions, and the operational workflows. This is part one. When I talk about the regulatory compliances and the industry standard, ensuring compliances to standards like ISO 27001, which is information security, is foremost important at this point of time. Then implementing good manufacturing processes, following the OSHA guidelines, then NFPA guidelines for other kind of protection system, designing fire protection systems. Then obviously another more important part, to comply the security system in accordance to the Environmental Protection Authority Act, which is prevailing in the country, wherever you are, whether you are working in Poland or Russia or India, doesn't make much of differences. And establishing your product data sheets confidentiality and the material data sheet which are open, but obviously it should be open to till that extent, which is not going to create an hazard to your industry or the business or the formulations or the activity. Now coming to the risk assessment, now we have got the two parts of it. Now the risk assessment is another thing. Conducting an hazard identification and risk assessment of the entire process based on the criticality is much more essential. So evaluate the potential of the criticality which really might lead to the loss of face, loss of business, or loss of property, or even loss of, people. Fine. So then coming back to the identifying the data vulnerability, which is quite prevalent nowadays, in fact, related to the cyber security and some of the threats which are from inside as well. And then to, develop a fire risk-free environment by having a thorough assessment and considering a flammable chemical storage condition and their appropriate ventilations. So these are, some of the very important things which are primarily required for deciding upon the protection that you need to have for your sensitive data protection as well as infrastructure protection. Now coming to the sensitive data protection strategies, given the property nature of the formulation, as we belong from a chemical industry and a formulation industry and recipe-based industry, as I said, so securing intellectual property, that is the IP, and the preventing data breaches are very, very critical. Then cyber security and digital protection. As I said, not only 27001 is going to help you out, you need to have something in robust and something in concrete, which is going to be furthermore, ensuring your level of compliances with respect to this protection of sensitive data in the topmost level. Fine. So the role-based access. For example, somebody does not really, need to go to some place. So role-based access, what we call RBAC, that has to be implemented. Somebody who is into the process, why does he need to, visit the R&D? Why does he really, need to go to the formulation seat or the recipe seat or the trial seat? Fine. So that's not needed. Now, intuition detections prevention system, that IDPS, that can also be, thought of, or that should be thought of. Even we, implement all those systems while conceptualizing any kind of setup like R&D or corporate houses. Then finally, if something really goes wrong, in spite of all tries and all, your hunches did not really work, then backup and disaster recovery protocol, that should be available for any point of time. Now, physical security measures, those are also very, very important. I have just spoken about the system-related integration of the parts. Physical security measures like restricted access. As I said, in fact, like the person who is not needed to some place, why he should be given an access? We should be very robust and firm on that. So restricted access to the labs, formulations areas, and even to the data centers, and via biometric, and close monitoring through the logs, installation of the CCTV, which are AI-based. Now the technology is pretty much, advanced. We can get anything that we want at the fingertips. Obviously, the people, those who are actually having a mindset of different kind of, they are always, trying to, create some situation which can breach all these protocols also, or all these securities. But that's aside. But basically, now CCTV surveillance in the sensitive zones, securing document storage with respect to the fire and flame-proof cabinet usage for keeping the safe custody of the important documents, journals, research papers, and inside threat, which obviously, a great concern, in fact, because you can never judge a person by his face. It's not that easy. So now enforcing a non-disclosure agreement as far as the legal protocols are concerned, then conducting a periodical security training on data protection, implementing audit logs for tracking and accessing the confidentiality of the data which are being accessed by the concerned people, or if something is going wrong. Now coming to the foremost important thing, yes, these all are needed, but what happens if there is any kind of catastrophe with respect to fire kind of emergency that emerges? So fire and hazard protection measures, given the flammable nature of the chemical and the fire preventions and the emergency preparedness, must be a priority. And we as a company, in fact, we give topmost priority irrespective of our budget, because many of the people sitting in the esteemed audience who are over here, in fact, they have been consulting us, they are guiding us to design the best possible system in compliance to FM, UL, NFPA, IS, NBC, etc., YSDA, everything. So now that is also the thing which is of utmost important. So fire systems installation, automatic fire suppression system, like there are many things in fact which are available. It's not only foam which should be dependent upon, PACC-based system which is now, I mean, pretty easily available. Lot of international and national competitors there. They can design the best possible system for our data centers. They can, I mean, design the best possible system for our R&D centers. Then maintaining the explosion-proof electrical installations in the high risk and high vulnerability zones, which are, I mean, like quite prone to, I mean, any kind of fire hazards which might happen. Then using fire retardant material. Even we are also one of the fire retardant material manufacturing company, not retardant. Basically, we are one of the manufacturer in India for fire intumescent paint. In fact, probably you all are aware. You all are learned people. You must be aware of that. And chemical storage and handling, that is another, I mean, important part, implementing the segregation of the chemicals, acid and base, how they are supposed to be kept separately. Then ensuring ventilation, temperature controlling, in fact, for example, styrene-like material. If you are handling, those are emanations of your company, in fact, for manufacturing any intermediate. So how do you store it? What is the, I mean, temperature that you should be maintaining? All these kind of things, in fact, like are not only important, utmost important. And fire-rated cabins, which are very much pretty easily available across the country. So these are, I mean, some of the important points which I thought to share, in fact, from our experience and expertise. And obviously the emergency response and training, which is ultimate and which is always man-dependent. We need to, I mean, have our emergency response plan ready for any kind of situation that might come into our mind, or that might create a turbulence in our business, or that might create a stake in our business which might halt our operations. So, and at the same time, the people should be trained enough to, I mean, with all firefighting techniques, hazardous material handling ways, and there should be, I mean, your building and other things should also be having a clear-cut demarcations for exits as per the fire regulations and rules. So, I mean, these are a couple of the points I thought to discuss, and this is how, in fact, we can really, I mean, safeguard our sensitive data, and we can protect our assets, and we can keep the business continuity, and we can, I mean, sustain the same thing in a long and prospective way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have covered most of the things. Before going to the next, as you all know that Honorable Prime Minister has declared to be the net zero in our country by 2070. I'm sure that many of the industries, they have taken their internal target to be net zero scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. Many industries like BPCL, Bharat Petroleum Corporation, has taken an internal target of 2040, which will be declared as a net zero. So the importance of carbon sequestration, carbon footprint is the talk of the day. In that line, while protecting our critical assets or data in firefighting, I request questions to Mr. Mukesh. How do you see that the environmental sustainability taken care of during the firefighting, selection of firefighting materials, or during the firefighting?
Good afternoon. Am I audible? See, the sustainability, environmental sustainability in fire protection systems, this is to be, the philosophy of it is to be embedded right at the planning stage. And the philosophy of the planning should be prevention comes before the protection. While planning, we must identify and classify the fire hazards, classify them into low, medium hazard, and high hazard, and then see whether in your planning scheme you can have a kind of insulation between these three areas by passive means, so that the footprint of the active systems gets reduced. The moment we reduce the footprint of active systems, we save on carbon emissions. Carbon footprint of the facility comes down like anything. Your cost also comes down like it. But this is a collaborative effort. Facility planners, architects, and consultants of other disciplines should pay attention to it right from the planning stage. And once that classification is with you, then you have to evaluate these systems. The areas which have been protected by passive system, good. Now where you have to provide active systems, then you have to see which fire extinguishing media is best in terms of environmental indexes. You have to weigh the efficiency of those materials versus the environmental indices. What is the most environmental friendly fire extinguishing media? It is water. Available everywhere in every facility. When you put it on a fire, what happens to it? It changes its form. It becomes vapors, go back to the atmosphere and come back to you as water only. While the other active extinguishing materials, whatever you say, they have some kind of negative impact on the environment. Some may be having very high with certain global protocols, certain dates have been fixed to phase out those. Research, as per the research, there are some new materials which are coming, supposed to be having a less environmental, less negative impact on the environment, but still it is there, either in terms of ozone layer depletion is concerned, whether it is the health of the human beings who are exposed to this. Of course, I am not saying use only water. Water has got certain limitations. It cannot be used directly on the electrically charged equipment. It cannot be used on inflammable certain oils and certain other chemicals they add to the fire. But again, a lot of research, industrial research is going on, how to make water as a better extinguishing medium which can be used on many more fire hazards effectively and in a more friendly way. This is what I would like to share.
Yeah.
So while selecting the chemical-based systems also, we must weigh. First, the area which is to be protected should be minimized. Then, specifically for the data protection, see, as I understand, of course I am not from that particular industry, but as I understand, all sensitive data these days are stored not at one location, but at number of locations. So then, what is the concern? Concern is to protect people, property. There is no doubt about it. The concern of the aim of the fire protection system are these two. First, people, property. Then comes the product. And there is another major concern, planet. So, after protecting your people, your property, when it comes to product and planet, you have to make a very judicious decision. Like in case of data, if you are storing your data at number of places, already you have become responsible for creating a larger carbon footprint. So why are you adding for the protection of that data at a particular place some more carbon points? So there, the main concern should be protection of people, protection of property, and protection of planet, and not the product.
Okay.
So this is how I would like to
So thank you.
exchange my views with, because there are number of planners sitting in this forum and number of decision makers. So my request is always, whenever you are taking a decision, please think on these lines so that we are able to save Mother Earth.
Thank you very much. And as we discussed about the infrastructure protection or critical infrastructure data protections, a lot of options are available with us, like it is a gas-based or foam-based or water-based or anything. So my questions to Massimo was come from all the way from Italy to here. Which you think the best of the protection part on the fire part for the critical infrastructure or data center?
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. I absolutely agree with Mukesh because water is, first of all, is protecting the most valuable asset of the world, that is life. Because water is not harmful. Water is water. Everybody, we live because of water. So we stretch water to its limits, with the water mist system, making the water more effective and literally controlling the fire and screening from the heat. Water mist has a lot of beneficial effects on fighting the fire. And water mist systems today are really safe. Water mist systems are the only systems, water-based systems, that are fully tested in laboratories. So that means that every application that you are going to apply for a water mist system has been already analyzed, designed, and tested in the laboratory, reproducing a full-scale test in a real scenario that will be probably worse than what can happen in the reality. So the water mist system, it is also with a very, very small carbon footprint. We use pure water. We don't use any additive, any chemicals, but also the quantity of the water that is used for the systems is so small that is not impacting at all on the carbon footprint. If we think about the carbon footprint of producing gas systems, the chemicals, it will be much, much more than the small amount of water that we use for a fire suppression system done with the water mist. And again, as Mukesh said, the water will be transforming in vapor and will be like a natural recycling of the media that we use. So the quantity of water that we use is so small that you can imagine a bottle of water that you have on the table will convert into 1,700 liters of steam when it's used against the fire. So that's for sure, for my opinion, that's for sure the best option on the market today.
Yeah, thank you very much. I have some few common questions probably that will be also interesting for the participants, those who are sitting here. Currently, what are these codes and standards are followed nationally or internationally for the protection of critical infrastructures? Are these standards are good enough, or do you feel that need changes? Or do you feel that it is constantly changing? And considering the next 5 years down the line, the technology changing, which AI or whatever it may be, what is your view on that? It should be constantly upgraded. Anybody can answer.
Yeah. Being as I said, the unique system that has been tested for each single application, the codes are evolving together with the industry. That means that every time that a new application like data center was one of the last that was introducing water mist as a primary source of protection. Every time that there is a new application where the chemicals are going to get more difficult to be compatible with the environmental issues, wherever there is an issue with some kind of protection, water mist is coming. And the rules are coming to highlight what the previous protection was doing, and water mist need to be over the previous standard. So those codes are evolving, and we are evolving our system together with the codes. And we are also sitting in the committees to help from OEM manufacturer to develop the codes according to the actual technology.
As we discussed, the priority is 3 Ps, that is people and planet and profit or whatever it may be. Considering that 3 Ps, do we feel the cost factor in firefighting or fire protections on the latest technology is too high that industries cannot accommodate this?
If you compare maybe one system, one, let's say, standard system to a single water mist protection for one specific area, then maybe you're right, there is a cost issue. But if you start considering that with one water mist system, you can cover up to several different situations, several different fire hazards that can be protected by a single centralized system that is using just water and that will last for maybe 30 years in the future, then if you compare this with this attitude, with this vision on a 30 years horizon, then you will discover that water mist probably, if you make the sum of all the system installed in a factory, the water mist system will be even cheaper than the sum of the other file system.
So thank you very much. Any questions from the audience? Because exactly half an hour time was given to us. If any questions are there from this audience, we can take 1 or 2 questions. Otherwise, we'll find out. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for the interesting panel discussions. Yes, please. Can you hold the mic, please?
Yeah, very good afternoon. My name is Hari Bukia. I am from Pharma, the Hetero Group. So as we maintain, a lot of infra as the sensitive data, which is, all the products, sensitive data, regulatory data, IP, intellectual properties, formulas, chemical-based formulas, manpowers, data, contract, employees. So again, we use the process automations as well, automation in the plant, right, as Sir told. Yeah, so what are the regulatory compliances to protecting sensitive, whatever the we data, save that sensitive data, asset in and maybe in critical infrastructure, this topic, what are the regulatory compliances are there? So where we can follow this standard. So if I'm purchasing some SCADA software, if I'm purchasing some maybe with respect to some maybe IEC or maybe cyber security infras, any other cyber security frameworks, anything can be answered. So we can be all the highly secured data can be stored, like security wise.
I think I am not sure about it, but I think there is no such a regulation on something like, as you mentioned, no? I don't think
are you
there is
talking
some
about the
regulation.
national level security, cyber
no.
security framework, which is already governing the cyber security part of all the industries?
Yeah.
They have to follow exactly what is given in the guidelines. Very recently it is published also.
Yeah, fine. So that
There is a government guideline on the cyber security and the intellectual property data storing.
For that IP, there is an IP Protection Act.
Yeah.
If for safety and all, you know very well that there is a Factories Act and there are some codes also.
Like
ISO and all. Factories Act.
which I am currently following, as when the automations we see them, which I am open my document, like IEC 62433, standards for securing industrial automation and control systems, like anything which is framework for critical infrastructure protection,
I
particularly?
feel these are all standards, Hari. Actually, this is not a regulation.
Regulatory. Yeah,
Standard
this
is different
regulatory
and
framework.
regulation is different.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Okay,
Any other
anyway,
questions?
So
anyway.
far,
Yeah.
the regulations which we have related to fire protection, it is for the protection of people and property, not for a particular product which is a private asset.
No, he's talking about information
for
security, any act or something is there? In
Yes.
that line he is talking. Anyway, it is available, Government of India. There is
I can operate, for example, I am doing some other reactor. So some automation was hacked. So something, anything exothermic happened, reactor may explode. I'm just keeping an explode. So how you, and not hacking, any regulatory, is there like protecting data or not hacking like that? Anything, is there standard regulatory compliances are mentioned in India or not? That's the reason I'm asked. I hope you understand. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any other? Yes, please. This is the last question we'll take before close.
So my question to Mr. Massimo, he was mentioning that the prefabricated system which will be factory-made product which will be economical in terms of it. So could you elaborate which is those systems so that we have a factories and we are in the path of implementation. So can I have details on that?
So if I well understood,
No, just which is the broad system?
what is them?
Which is the system you are mentioning?
Yeah, okay. The system that we can replace are mainly aerosol, clean agents, inert gas. All of them can have a similar appliance, testing protocol done under the water mist rules and standards, so that with a centralized system that is pumping water all over the piping network, you can protect, just to make examples, the generator room for the emergency generator backup, the storage, the offices, the data center, the garage for the cars, that are normally protected by different types of systems, including foam, clean agents, inert gases, etc., or even sprinkler systems. So whatever it is already installed in a factory, if we can start in an early stage on the new buildings to coordinate with the safety consultants, with the fire consultants, we can implement a centralized system that is capable to protect almost every single area of the plant. That is what I mean.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you once again, all the panelists.
I have one question for my two panelists.
1 minute.
How safe it is to use misting system on an electrically induced fire or electrically charged equipment if it is on fire?
Okay. Normally, everybody is concerned about this topic, spraying the water over the electricity. Okay. First of all, water is not in the room where the electricity is, because the technology is there, pre-action valves are there, so you can just make some automation with the fire detection system that will just open the valve and start the system only when you are detecting a fire. Then, together with this kind of automation, you can just cut out the electricity before start to spraying. And by the way, water mist can be sprayed on live transformer, for example, even with a very high voltage, because the conduction is very, very low. And when you start spraying water over a burning electrical appliance, the water is the less damage you can have on that electrical appliance, because the fire will be more worse than that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you all the panelists for your wonderful discussions. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. We can have one group
Thank
photo.
you.
Sir, the mementos would be given at your room only. Thank you.